Yes, good morning. So last class, like we discussed about what we discussed like about static and final, right? So today we'll discuss like an interface, and then we'll start exception handling. So what is an interface? Anyone knows? So what is the difference between abstract class and interface? Before like before going to the interface concept, so we should understand why. So we already understood why this multiple generations is not supported. Then because of that reason, like through interface, we can achieve multiple generations. So interface is nothing but like the another way to achieve abstraction. So the other way to achieve an abstraction. So we can achieve like so pure abstraction we can achieve in the interface concept. So but abstract class what it will do. So abstract class we can write an abstract methods and concrete methods means non-abstract methods. But interface doesn't allow you to create till like Java 1.7, it doesn't allow you to create non-abstract methods inside the interface. So by default, whatever we are going to provide by default, those variable or like the methods by default it is an abstract. Inside interface, if you are going to provide by default, that is an abstract. So I think everyone is installed the Eclipse, right? Anyone is facing problem? Alright, I hope everyone is installed the Eclipse. Okay. So I'll see like how to create an interface. So are you able to see my screen, right? So normally how we can create like an interface. So as I told you, like interface, can we create an object? Can we create an interface? Like for the interface we can create an object? No. So do you have like a constructor concept in interface? No, we don't have. But abstract class, that is a class. For every class we have a constructor. So constructor concept is applicable for even abstract class also, even though if we are not creating, uh, even though like we are not creating the object for the abstract class, right? So by default, like abstract class, like why in the abstract class they have introduced the constructor concept to initialize values. So in order to initialize some values, they have introduced the constructor concept, right? So but in interface, we cannot create an object interface. We can achieve like 100% of abstraction. So how to create an interface? How to create an interface? How to create an interface? Just right click this right click this project and try to create interface. So this is the interface, right? So now I am giving test is already exist. I'm giving demo. Demo is like one interface, and like this we can create an interface. So I'm going to write down. So this is like a method. Okay, this is like a method, abstract method. But why we are not writing any abstract here? By default, the methods which is available inside the interface, by default, those methods we are going to call as an abstract method. Okay. Now I am going to create another one, another interface. So now I am going to write down the same method as. So two different interfaces can have a same method. Is it possible? Two different interfaces can have a same method. Yes. Yes, right. It's possible, right? Guys, need interaction. So two different interface. All you guys are sleeping now.
No, sir, listen.
Okay. Okay. So these two interfaces, like we have a test method, and now I'm going to implement. I'm going to create a class. I'm going to create an interface test class. This class. So how we can, like for example, if you have an interface, so how we can have it to access the interface properties of methods and all, then how we are going to use, so what keyword we are going to use. So if we are using inheritance concept, there we are using extends keyword. For interface level, we are going to use implement. 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 What is that interface demo? Comma. Other one is demo test. So now these two interfaces, right, have one method as a test. So if you implement this interface, you need to override that, add unimplemented method. So we have a two different types of like the method, right? Like here is a test and here is a test. So here this is like a dummy implementation, right? So we are just declaring the method. That's all. Like we are not implementing it. Like where we are going to be implementing. So here we are going to implement. So the implementation class we are going to implement, right? So now how I am going to write down type test. Type test. Okay. Now, now how we need to call? Now how we need to call? Now how we need to call this? Now how we need to call this? So can I create an object? Can I create an object of interface or class? Interface or class? Class we need to create. Class we need to create. C dot. So just run this class. So it is going to print inside test. So like that we are going to create an object and we are going to invoke. Okay. Now I have a two interfaces. Okay. I have a two interface I1. Okay. Maybe in interview they'll ask some questions. Okay. About interface concept. Okay. So we have like a I1 and I2. Okay. Now this I2 implements I1. Is it possible? Interface I2 implements I1. So let's say this is a parent and this is a child. Is it possible? Guys, is it possible? So an interface, a class implements, right? So this is possible. An interface, sorry, a class can implement an interface, but an interface cannot implement another interface. An interface can extend another interface. So for the interface to from one interface to the other interfaces, we are not going to use We are not going to use implements keyword. We are going to use extends keyword. We are going to use extends keyword. So in that case, so we'll write down some scenarios. Class extends another class. Is it valid? A class can extend another class. Yes, valid. An interface extends another interface. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Because to take here as an example, interface ID extends the another interface. A class can extend another interface, right? And then interface implements another interface. Is it possible? No, it's not possible. A class implements another class. Is it possible? Okay. So other scenarios, another class implements interface. Is it possible? Class implements the interface.
Yes.
Yes, it's possible. Class extends the another class, okay, and this class implements. Is it possible? A class extends another class. The class implements an interface.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's possible because they're using. This is like a parent class. This is a child class, and we are implementing that interface. Okay. Now, interface extends class. No, right? So we cannot extend class extends interface. Any scenarios? No, it's not possible. An interface extends more than one interface. Is it possible? Kind of interface is also nothing but a class only. Let's try with all the scenarios like whether you're getting like our statements are valid or not. So these kind of like the simple questions like they are going to ask you and they are going to confuse you. Clear? So where and how in the real time we are going to use interface function. Where and how we are going to use. So if you want to expose, our APIs like applications and all, right? So in the API level, we are just exposing the methods itself, method signature itself, but we are not exposing our implementation. So such kind of scenarios we are going to use. Okay, we are going to use On the implementation classes, we are doing the changes. Like as the same as an abstract only, abstract class only. Okay. So so we'll be having like a separate the interface module in the projects. For example, if some other third-party
You
application
just
wants to
received
call
text
our
message.
APIs, so in that way, so we are just providing the methods. Okay, so simply they are going to implement our interfaces, and they are trying to call. They are trying to call our methods. Then it is going to connect with our APIs. Our logic it is going to execute, but we are not providing the our logic to them, so we are hiding. So like that in real time we are going to use, like that the real time we are going to use simply. So the real time also simply they are going to create the interfaces like this only. Let's say for example if they want to create an account interface, so it's not a class. They're going to create an interface of account. For example, so I'm going to create account. Okay, so interface name should be small. Okay. Now I'm going to write down the skeleton here. Void. So void create savings account. Right? Void create. So let's take this as an example. Simply like they are going to write down all the methods. Like for example, void or else they can account class which is having some so account it is already there. Okay, so what we can do upon specifically, okay. So let's take instead of that, okay, just rename this one as create. So I'm going to create account API. Account API is nothing but like an interface. Let's say for example. Now here I'm going to create. Okay, this should be capital, right? This should be capital. Just try to rename and then try to create an one account class. Try to create an account class. Okay, and then in this account class, I'm going to write down. Okay, so let's say for example, public account set account details. So all these are the methods. Okay, all these are the methods. Now, if I want to implement, if I want to implement these methods, then you have to create one main class as contest, and it has to implement, account API. Then we have to override all these unimplemented methods. Then you write down the logic to create savings account. So you got the point, right? So like that, we are just defining the skeleton wherever. See, for example, I want to use this interface, the account API interface. I want to use like some 20-30 classes in the project. So simply what we can do, simply we are going to implement this account API, and we are going to override those methods, and we are trying to create a logic. So in this case, for example, this method you want to create a in this method you want to create an account object and you have to set the account properties and here you can create. So why it is returning null? Because the get account details it has to return the account object. How you are going to create account? How you are going to return the account object? So like this account ACC equals to new account. Now what you are going to return? The return ACC. The return type of this get account details. The return type of this one is what is this ACC? ACC return type is an account. So we are returning the account details. So somewhere if you want to call this method, we can do that. So for example, if you want some basic things to do this implementation, just write down. Well, somewhere it is there, no account class. Let's take this one. Generator getters and setters. So once it's generated, okay, try to close to avoid confusion. Just open account API class, account test. So now account API is like an interface. Account API is an interface where we are having these two methods. And then here we have the account class. We have these three properties. In the account class we have these three. So including we'll be having these properties. Okay. Then so in order to create some logic, for example, you want to create some logic, for example. So now you can create an account object here, account object, and you can pass ACC dot set account number. You can pass 1, 2, 3 ACC dot set account name. So like that you can set the status and all. Then once you set this one, then you want to print like any account information, right how to print that, or else you generate the toString method, then directly you can print the object so that automatically like it is going to convert. So that source generate toString instead of writing SOP. So just go here and execute this logic and account. Okay, we are printing. Now what we are going to do in the main method, what we are going to do, we are going to create account text object. Is able to follow or not? Test dot does not get account details. Other one is what? Create sales account. So let's say for example this I'm calling and running, it is going to print the object. So it is printing, right? The implementation we are doing here, not inside the interface. Not inside the interface. So like that we can create like this we can create, like we can return. So if you are going to call the same information, for example, same information like in order to pass here, right? That object we need to call okay test dot get account details. Test dot get account details and what it is going to return. The return type of the implementation, if you can see the account type. Okay, now go back to here. Right? guys able to follow or not? So what we are doing, see why for this method, why I am not storing into the variable like means the reference of the account, because this create savings method return type is a void. Okay, so we are printing here itself. So but the get account details method, is going to return what? Account of. It is going to return account type. So that's why once we call this one, it is going to return account type. That's why we are storing it and we are printing. Just run this. Okay, so here also we are printing, right? Just remove this one. And now you understood get account details info. Get account details info, it is printing from the main method, because so we are calling the get account details method in the main method, and from here the control goes to from 8th line to control comes to 31, and it is going to execute the logic, means we are setting the details and we are returning the account object. So this method return type is an account one. We are returning this, the return value we are storing in a A. We are storing in a A. A is nothing but like account type, right? So like this we are going to use the interfaces and we can implement the methods. So when you are going to make a call from the third party, like when you are giving the information, API information to the others, no, we are not giving the implementation logic. The implementation logic we are not going to give it. Only the interface details we are, the interface one we are going to give, so that there they can extend or they can implement our interface and they can try to create their class object and they are going to call a method. They are going to call a method. So like this, it is going to happen in the real time. Like this, it is going to happen in the real time. Clear? Multiple inheritance is possible in the interface level. Yes, it's possible. Like that only we implemented, right? See earlier, like we have like the same method, right? For example, the interface, we take the interface test. It implements demo and demo test. So demo and demo test is having the same method, but it is not getting, because there is no implementation, right? If you can see here, we are not implementing it. If you can see here, we are not implementing it. But in Java 8 interface, we can write down the default methods. Okay, we can write down the default methods. So later we'll see when we are discussing the Java 8. See, interface should not allow the body, right? Interface should not allow the body. So if you are trying to, if it is allowing, right? Okay, now this time it will treat as an abstract method, but abstract method does not have a body. But if you write a default, if you write a two default methods inside that, we'll get an ambiguity definitely. That we are going to discuss in the Java 8 features. Okay. So
Okay.
field 7, fine. Field 7, fine. It is not allowing, but we are, so the compiler and Java version we are using for Java 8 only, right? So that's the reason the default methods it is going to allow inside the interface. It is going to allow inside the interface, right? So like this, we can discuss like why again there also we'll get some ambiguity if two different default methods, like not different default methods, the same different default methods are implementing in the
You just
interface,
received a
and
text
that those
message. You
interfaces
just
we are
received a text
we are
message.
implementing to our class, then that time definitely the compiler will get an ambiguity like which one we need to call when we are calling. So that scenario we cover in Java 8. So as of now, we just think, okay, through interface we can achieve multiple methods, right? So now we'll discuss that is about the interfaces. Okay, going forward, not only here, going forward, we'll be discussing with interface the collections also. Okay, the classes and all we are using in the, like if you want to, like collection interface is there, runnable interface is there, all this information like we are going to discuss the respective concepts. Okay, so going forward we will be getting interface concept regularly, so don't worry, there we can learn more. Okay. Okay, so now we'll discuss exception handling. So what is exception handling? Anyone knows? Exception handling. When programmer written the code, there might be a chance to get abnormalities while executing the program, right? So because like, so we are the programmers, we don't know like when it will happen, right? Maybe because of the integers also, they can skip the program because like if you are accepting only the integer values, the user is providing the string value, then it is not going to convert, then we'll be getting like a number format exception, right? So such cases, so we are handling the exception handling concept. So exception handling is nothing but like in order to avoid abnormal situations in the program, when program executing right, we need to avoid some abnormal situations so that we are going to use the exception handling. So exceptions are divided into the two types. One is compile time, compile time exceptions, and runtime exceptions. One is compile time exceptions, the other one is runtime exceptions. So here these two are the two different types. Okay, so uh, we'll discuss going forward like in detail what is about compile time when we are going to get during the compilation itself. We'll be getting compile time errors and we'll be getting runtime exceptions while the program is running, because like after compilation when we are going to run the program, that time we are going to get. Okay, now we'll see what is the parent class for all the exceptions. Throwable is a class. Throwable is a class. Okay. So throwable is a class, and then it got like two different child classes. It is having the two different child classes. One is exception. Other one is error.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, sorry, error.
Error. So one is an exception. The other one is error. So again, exception will have, right? Two different types of exception. One is compile time, the other one is runtime. So exception is like a, it will allow both types, like a compile time exception, like for example, compile time exceptions it will allow, runtime exceptions it will allow. But the other type is runtime, it's a child class. Thanks. Okay. So the runtime exception is a child class for the exception class. So when we are going to create like our custom exceptions. Okay, so Java people has been already given some predefined exceptions. So with the help of predefined exceptions, we are not going to cover all the exceptions in the project, right? All the exceptions in the project. So if you want to do your own validations, if you want to do your own validations, then this arithmetic exception, array index out of bound exception, or null pointer exception, or class not found exception, or IO exception, SQL exception, file not found exception, all these exceptions are not going to help us to do our business validations in our project. Okay. So what is a business validations? Anyone knows? Say, let's say for example, I want to dispatch one credit card. Okay, so I am using HDFC, and so I am like I want a HDFC credit card. Then in order to avail that HDFC credit card, the minimum salary should be some 20,000. So every employee should earn minimum 20,000. So that is a basic check. So in that case, how we can convey this message to the customer? Let's say for example, I am the customer. I am logging into the HDFC bank. I am trying to apply and my salary is 15,000. Now I am trying to decided to apply one credit card. Okay, my salary account is the HDFC bank. So through online, I'm trying to apply a credit card. But during the apply, it is going to ask the basic information about you, like your PAN card number, Aadhaar card, something like your monthly income. So I'm entering my monthly income is 15,000. Okay. So I'm trying to create an application, like I'm trying to submit an application for applying the credit card. So in that case, but in the business wise, right? In the business wise, right? So if HDFC people want to dispatch the credit card, so minimum limit, like minimum salary, the employee should earn more than 25,000. So if that is the case, it should not allow. It should not allow, right? In that case, is there any Java HDFC exception, like Java people has given HDFC exception that will communicate you are not eligible to apply this card, right? They are not going to provide. So with the help of a custom exception class, okay, with the help of custom exception class, okay, let's say for example, class test extends object, right? So I can use all the features in the object, right? Object class, right? The object class is a parent class, but if I extend this, by default it will be extended. Okay, so I can use all the methods. I can use all the methods, all the features inside the object class, whatever we have, we can use inside the test class. That is not fact only, right? Inheritance. The same way, if you want to create custom exception class, HDFC exception extends runtime exception. It is going to take why we are taking it in runtime, because it is going to take it during the runtime execution only. Once we submitted the form, so I'm going to create like a HDFC exception class extends runtime exception. So this runtime exception, right? If I extend no, I can I can acquire all the properties, like all the methods, all the variables, whatever it is there inside the runtime exception class that will be applicable. So this is a child class and this is a parent class. So in that way, I can create like one constructor and we can throw like wherever we required to do some business validations, HDFC exception. So you are not eligible for to apply this card. Since you are in order to avail this card, minimum basic salary should be some 25,000. So we should not send some Java exception, right? End user cannot understand that Java exception. Correct, right? If you are going to ATM, if there is no balance, uh, some exception if you are getting in the monitor, right? Then you are not going to understand what is that, right? So if you are going to send, like, it is going to check with the validation, the current balance and withdraw balance. Okay, the balance is less than withdraw, then proceed. If it is greater than withdraw, then if balance is less and your withdraw amount is more, then it is going to display, right? It is going to display insufficient funds. Please try later. The same way, we are going to like how that message we are going to communicate to the end user because of this exception handling concept only. Because of this exception handling concept only, we are sending the communication to the client. We are sending the communication to the client with the valid details, valid information details. So we are just informing that insufficient funds, please try later. So then user can easily understand what is the problem and then he will check what is the balance, right? So in that case, here also user will understand, okay, to apply this HDFC card, okay, we need a minimum basic salary of 25,000. Okay, since I am not eligible for this card, then he is not going to apply again and again, right? He won't waste his time because if you are throwing some exception in the browser itself, then they may not understand, right? They may not understand. If you pass like if you throw some generic exception, right? Means Java exception, no, they cannot understand. So for that purpose, we are writing our own exceptions and we are handling in application level. We are handling in application level. Here, okay. So I don't know whether you guys are listening or not, able to understand the class or not.
That's correct.
Okay. Chetan, Manoj, you are understanding what is exception? Bhakta, are you able to understand?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we can write down like I told you, right? Like we have a compile time exceptions and runtime exceptions. We have a two different types. Okay. Compile time, you will be doing the compilation of the program when you are going to use Java class name dot Java. So you are writing right class name dot means we are compiling the class. Right, we are compiling the class. So that time, whatever the exceptions we are getting right, those belongs to the compile time. Those belongs to the compile time exception. So when you are running the program, when you are going to enter, this is going to belongs to this one. It is going to belongs to runtime exception. So exceptions occurred in this position. These exceptions are compile time. Compile time exceptions, right? So these things, when we are running the program, these times any exceptions occur, or these exceptions we are calling as runtime. Runtime exceptions. Okay. Now you understood, right? When we are going to get a compile time exception, when we are going to get a runtime exception. Okay. How many ways we can handle an exception? How many ways we can handle? How many ways we can handle exceptions? Right? So one is anyone knows? I think many people knows, right?
By using private method.
Yeah, try with catch. Try with catch. The other one is rows. The other one is row. So try with catches, we have a nested try, like inside try we can write try catch block, or else try with a nested catch we can write down inside the catch we can write down try catch to handle the exception. So we'll be having a different scenarios. So we'll be covering. So okay. So now uh, wherever you go, right, when exception handle concept starts, then it always starts with arithmetic exception divided by zero. So that is like, so everyone can easily understand. Everyone can easily understand. So just open this exception class, exception package. Just check like whether we can create a new class. So I am creating this one, and now I am going to declare int a equals to 10, int b equals to 20, okay, 20, or int c equals to c by a. Now I am printing. Okay, just run this one. So it is going to print the c value is 2. Okay. Now what I am going to do, so it is not having any problem. So now it is not having any problem. So now what I am going to do, we come to so welcome to exception handling concept. Just run this one. So it is printing, right? So it is printing the c value and it is printing. Now what I am going to do, simply I am making this a as 0 and c. See, it is showing. So who is going to take care? JVM is going to take care. See, we cannot divisible by 0, right? So it is going to, we are going to get like arithmetic exception. So in which line? The line number 9. But what about this statement? What about this statement? When exception occurred, exception occurred, right? So it is not printing because the exception is occurred at the ninth line. The remaining lines it is not going to execute. Remaining lines it is not going to execute because if programmer is not handling the exception handling, then JVM is going to take care to handle these exceptions, but your program does not going to execute remaining lines. For example, in my class having some 10 lines. Okay, in the fifth line we are getting an occur, but the remaining we are getting an exception in fifth line, but remaining 5 lines it is not going to execute because so here the exception is occurred, the program is going to terminate. The program is going to terminate when exception occurs. So to avoid these situations, so to avoid these abnormalities, right? We are going to enter. We are going to enter. Let's say for example, think in a different way. So maybe like you can ask now. Okay. So I can create like there are people, okay, end users doesn't know something, they're trying to mislead the program, right? So you are developing, see, you are a developer and you are developing always you are thinking in your perspective and you are writing the program, right? Just import the scanner. Now, enter a value, okay, now I am entering the a value, now that value I am going to store here. Just so this program is going to execute for everyone. So one user it is going to work, the other user it is not going to work. I'll show you. Okay, int a equal to sc dot next in. So and then we are entering the enter p value. Okay, c dot next in. Okay. Now what we are going to do? by A or A by B, whatever it is. Okay, just go for A by B. So now I'm going to run this program and see one time. First time I'm entering the valid details. The other user is going to enter some invalid details. Okay. Now I am entering. See, it is giving C value as a true and welcome to the exception handling concept. Means the program is going to execute. So this is like a valid scenario. So invalid scenario, if you run this program, I am entering then the p value as 0. See, now the other person doesn't know. So if you are using this application, he may enter some p value as 0. Then if you are dividing by 0, right? Then so if we are going to get arithmetic exception, line number 13. But here if you can observe the remaining statements, it is going to terminate the program here. The remaining statements it is not going to execute. So here it is not going to execute the remaining statement. See, for one programmer, it is working. See, now I am entering. Some other person is executing this application 10. Some other person entering 20. So it is giving. But if you see one programmer it is executing, the other programmer it is not executing. So one programmer it is executing, the other programmer it is not executing. The reason why this time it is not executing because it is terminating here because so we cannot divisible by 0. So one user may enter the valid details, some other user will enter instead of phone number, they will be entering the characters. So in that case, you have to guide the user. Okay, you have to guide the user, and we have to communicate a proper message to the end user. You are entering 0. We should not divisible by whatever the enter your the value, right? We should not divisible by 0, or else we can send. We should not allow means alphabetics. For phone number, you have to enter only numeric value. So like that we are going to communicate. So for that reason only we are handling exceptions. So now in which portion of code we are getting always error, the line number here only, right? Line number is 13, it is not 13 now, it's a 14 because we return try block. So now you have to write down what is the parent class for the arithmetic exception class. Okay. E dot print stack trace. E dot print stack trace. Now you see what is the incompatibility. Okay. So write down this SOB. So here I'm going to run this one. See, enter A value. Enter B value 5. See, it is going to print. It's a valid one. Earlier also it is printing, right? C value is 2 and welcome to the exception handling concept. Now I am entering A value as 10 and B value as 0 and see it is going to print. It is going to get an exception here, but remaining statements it is executing. See, it is here we are getting an exception and the catch block which will handle the exception. It is going to print the from where in which line it is getting. Stack trace means a difference between SOP. Like we'll see what is the print stack trace. It is going to give in detail in which class and which method we are getting that exception. So directly it is a package, right? form.org.exp and the exception test is a class, and this is a method, the main method we are getting. So if I am printing, if I am using this out, so if I am printing e right, so now see the difference. Just run this program. Welcome to exception handling means, like if you can see here, java.lang arithmetic exception. See, it is getting like it is, we are getting the exception in the, we don't know like in which line we got the exception. In the project, right, we have some 10, 15, like some thousand lines of code, and if you are using system.out.println of e, just it is going to print the what type of exception object it was, what type of exception object it was, then it is going to print java.lang arithmetic exception divisible by 0. But in which line we got that exception? So in which line we got that exception? If we use e.print stack trace, it is going to give the detailed information about the exception and the package class in which method. So that is the reason. So always the recommended way to use e.print stack trace. E dot print stack trace. So I am entering a value as 10 and b value as 0, and now it is going to print here divisible by 0. See here, it is printing a next, this statement it is going to execute. Now after that, see in which line we are getting, see exception test dot java. So in which line we are getting com.org.exp test, like exception test is a class and this is a main method. So it is giving the detailed information about the exception, where if we have like a 5,000 lines of code also, it is going to provide in which line we are getting an exception. Then programmer can easily go inside that line and check what is the issue. Clear? Yes, clear or not?
Yes, clear. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you understood, right? Okay. The other scenario, now exception is like a parent class. Exception class is a parent class. See, if you click this exception extends a throwable, right? Throwable, right? So this is like the class. We discussed right for exception parent class is a throwable. Exception parent class is the throwable. And this is like a child class. And runtime exception is a child class for exception. So now, so now, actually here we are getting arithmetic exception, right? We are getting arithmetic exception. So arithmetic exception is like a runtime exception, okay? But we are passing in the catch block exception. So if I pass arithmetic exception, will it work? Will it work? I'm just running this. It's giving same, right?
You just
Giving
received
same,
a text message. You just
but
received a
earlier, if
text
you are
message.
giving an exception, that exception is
You
the
just
parent one.
received a
Parent
text
can
message. You
hold
just
all
received a
the
text
parent class
message.
exception can hold all the child objects, right? So that is the reason it is the exception class knowing that okay, this is related to, this exception is related to arithmetic exception. That's the reason it is printing. Even though if you are writing arithmetic exception, it is printing, but you don't know some scenarios what kind of exceptions we may get, what kind of exceptions we may get, then always recommended for,
You just received a text
you know, this is
message.
like
You just received a text
like
message.
c equal to a divisible by b, then some people may enter 0 in that time. In that case we'll be getting, in that case we'll be getting arithmetic exception. So then we can write down in the catch block directly, we can write down arithmetic exception. So, but some scenarios we don't know what type of exception it occurs. So in that case, always recommended one is a exception. Always recommended one is a exception. So what it is going to do, it is going to convert that exception, page class exception. Then parent can hold that exception. Then it will convert. Okay. So now, can I write down the code? Can I write down the code like this? Can I write down the code? A try with. You don't get confused. Nothing is there. Simple. Concentrate only this logic. This logic you know already, right? Okay. So now I am using try with multiple catch blocks. Try with multiple catch blocks. Okay. Try with a multiple catch blocks. So in that case, is a valid one or not? When you are writing, see, it is going to recommended. It is going to recommended. If you are writing your own project exceptions, in the catch block you can pass your own exception classes, but always at end, if it is unable to, your project exception is unable to catch this exception, generic one is an exception. So it can catch it. It can catch it. So that's why. So might be the so we by this point of time it's not required. We know this is going to throw arithmetic exception. So if you are writing some lines of code, okay, some 5 lines of code that may cause array index out of bound exception, that may cause this one, that may cause arithmetic what is that null point exception, that may cause easily, right? So that is the reason in another catch block we are going to write down exception. So if other than any arithmetic exception occurred, then directly this catch block is going to execute. If it is arithmetic exception is going to occur, this catch block it is going to execute. Okay, now is it a valid one? It's a valid one. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to paste above. If I paste above, the code will compile.
No, sir.
So why it is not going to compile? The reason.
The exception child class always followed by parent exception class.
Yes. So because this is like an arithmetic exception. Exception itself can handle all type of exceptions, right? You no need to write down this one. Unnecessary, right? So if you can see here, unreachable catch block, arithmetic exception. It's already handled by the catch block for exception. So it is telling arithmetic exception can handle by exception class also. Why you are writing, right? So always when careful when you are writing the catch blocks, always first catch block you have to write down tail class. At last you have to write down the parent class. At last you have to write down the parent class. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So remaining concepts we'll see next class. Okay, how we can execute like try with a nested catch or inside try with another try catch block. All these things we can discuss and then we'll start. Next section, handling concept. This is very important. Right, this is very important. This is nothing but like a custom exception. So, in order to create your own exception, every interview they'll ask how to create your own exceptions in Java. Every interview they'll ask. If they are definitely asking about, they are involving to ask the exception handling concept questions. Definitely they'll ask how to create a runtime, means how to create a custom exception. So tomorrow, not tomorrow, like means the next class. Okay. So next class we'll discuss definitely how to create a custom exceptions. So try catch box we can use simply we can throw the exceptions and all, but the creation of our own exceptions, that is a mandatory. That is a mandatory. Definitely we will cover one or two examples. Then you can easily understand how we can create your own exception. If you want, we can give the real-time scenario also. So we'll explain like what
You
happens
just
to the
received
user.
a text message.
User is passing some validations. See, like this we are going to cover. See, if user ID is empty, please provide user details. All these things like user not. We think that user not found exception is like actually the user not found exception is like our own class. It extends the runtime exception. Extends the runtime exception. Runtime exception extends the exception. Exception extends the throwable. Throwable is a class. Okay. So this hierarchy, how internally it is going to call all the things like we are going to discuss. All the things we are going to discuss. Okay. So definitely we need like another two sessions to complete
You just
exception handling
received a
concept.
text
Another
message.
two
You
sessions
just received a
will
text
invite,
message.
and that too will explain the exception
You just
overriding rules. Exception overriding rules. That is very important. In the overriding, during the overriding, I told you right. So when we start exception handling, there we will discuss some overriding rules. Okay, that time interviewer if they ask me, then it will be helpful for you. Clear?
Okay.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Fine.